Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will be featuring this Christmas card showcasing the mice on ice from Lawn Fawn. So I first laid out my card design and I die cut the rectangle using the large cross-stitched rectangle Stackables from Lawn Fawn. Next up I stamped the mice using my Memento Tuxedo black ink. This paper is Neenah Soil White 110 and I'm using this one because I'm going to color with Copic markers. I decided to stamp the images twice to get a really crisp stamping. And then I decided to first continue with my background, so I needed to create some masks. Therefore, I am using some full stitch post-it notes. And I'm stamping the images using the leftover ink on the stamps. So next up, I need to fussy cut every mouse. I'm speeding this through quite a bit because it's not the most important part of the card and it's taking a lot of time. So speeding it through. In the end, I can say that I think that the mice are really easy to cut out. There are some more difficult images in my stash. So this went quite quickly, except for the first one. It gave me some trouble. It can be because it's the most intricate one of them all, or just because my leftover ink was not that visible at some places. But in the end it worked out fine, so I cannot complain. So here I realized that there were some spots where I had some ink on my fingers or such that transferred onto my card. So I tried to fix it using an ink eraser. And then as you can see, the second mice on the right also had some trouble. But it's gonna be a gray mouse, so I'm not gonna complain. I just am going over it soon with some Copic markers and then it won't be visible anymore. So my last mice to cut out and then I could start with the background. So I am taping my panel down because I decided to create a white border all around the card, so therefore I'm using a cheap purple tape because it's easy to get off again. And this way I can't get any ink on the edges. And then I took my cracked pistachio distress ink and an ink blending brush and started on my background. As you can see, I am taking a piece of paper that's lying around on my desk to first dab off the ink each time I am going back to the card so that there won't be any harsh lines or as minimal as possible. The idea of the blending is that I'm going heavily or more heavily on the top and then lighter towards the bottom, so there is the eyes where they are skating on, and in the end it will just fade into the white of the cardstock. Once I was happy with the blending, it was time to do the fun part, taking off all the masks. Therefore I am using my reverse tweezers to help me with that. And what I do with my mask is adhering them on the back of the stamp set so that I can use it again next time and I do not have to fussy cut at that moment. I think it's possible with the full stick post-it notes. Uh, they keep they're sticky for a long time, except when you're using some water on it or. So now I peeled off every post-it and I can start with adding my colors. So I try to put my caps of each Copic marker at the top left, but I need to remind myself each time that I am filming right now, so normally I would not do that, and so sometimes my caps are missing, but then I will explain what I used. For the mices, I decided to do them all in the same color to keep the card simple and to keep it really light. So what I do with Copic markers is I first add the lightest color, then go in with the darkest, and then I go to the mid-tone and I finish again with the lighter tone. So I used, as the lightest tone was a W1, then now I am adding W5 and my mid-tone will be W3. And then I will go back in with the lightest color, being W1. This way works for me, so it's not like I'm an expert or such, I'm just doing it this way. Maybe it works for you another way. As long as you love coloring with it and it works out fine, then that's the way you should go. So now I'm going to the ears. It's a smaller area, so I only use two colors for this combination, being E00 and E02. So here I missed a cap. I mean E01. I'm using E01 and E00. So for the tummy, I'm using my lightest gray I have, so W0. And for the nose, I'm using again the E01. So for the clothing, I decided to go in rainbow order. I only have 4 mice, so only 4 colors, but I'm doing red, orange, yellow, and green. And again, for these items, I'm also using only 2 colors per combo. Again, first my lightest, then going with the darkest, and then back to the lightest. And after this yellow one, I only need to do the green one, and then I can continue with the card. So now all the coloring is done. What I am going to do now is peel off the purple tape. I'm doing this in an angle because there are some tapes that are too sticky and can rip the paper. It's not necessarily with this purple tape that I have this issue, but I try to avoid risking ripping my paper. So with each tape I am trying to peel it off in an angle. So now I can start adding my sentiments and my snowflakes that I had previously in my card design. So I laid them out and I put it down in my stamping tool because I decided to do some heat embossing, and therefore I like it when I can stamp it multiple times without it shifting. So important for me when using my stamping tool is that when I lift up my door, I don't want my paper to be lifting as well. So this was the case, so therefore I replaced my magnets, tried it again, and then it worked out. But I realized that I didn't prepare my card, so I took an anti-static powder tool. It's almost empty, so I'm going really heavily with it. But as long as it works, I'm fine. So I did prepare it now, and then I took my Versamark clear embossing ink and stamped this image out twice. Image, it's more the sentiment, but you know what I mean. So I stamped it out twice, and when I'm using embossing powder, I keep them all in the jar because I don't have a big amount of them. So and to pour it back into the jar, it's really easy when you just take a piece of craft paper that you no longer need to use for anything else, and you just crease it in the middle, and then you can let the powder go downwards through that crease, and it's really easy that way. So the embossing powder I'm using is from Ranger. It's white, super fine detail. It really gives that great impression. So tapping off all the excess, and then it's time to melt everything. I let my heat gun heat up first, and this way you can create like less curving of your card. So here you can see it melting down. I really think that this is so satisfying to look at, so I'm keeping it in the videos. I hope you like it as well. But here it is all melted down, and then I set it for a bit, and then I just need to buff off all the excess powder that I had when prepping the card. Therefore I'm using a paper towel, but when you would do it too fast, you can have the problem that your embossing that you just melted would be ruined. So wait for a few seconds, and then you can buff off all the baby powder or whatever you are using. So now it's time to prep my card base. I'm using an American A2 standard sized card base, and then I just need to stamp my own stamp on the back, showcasing that I made it. Therefore I use Memento Tuxedo black ink because it was on hand, but personal preference. And then I just need to adhere the front. So therefore I am using my Pritt adhesive tape roller, and then I am trying to lay the panel straight on top of it. And then I am pressing it down really well, going over each area to be sure. And that finishes off my card. I hope you liked it. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!